Good day and welcome to this week's creative episode. Today I'm diving into a theme I think every artist and every human being can relate to: mistakes. You know, the moments on the canvas where something feels ruined until it isn't. And just like in life, those wrong turns often open the door to something we never would have seen otherwise. So let's talk about how mistakes can become masterpieces, both in art and in the way we live. And in the second part of this episode, a portrait tutorial highlighting my own doubts and mistakes. Initially, with every mistake, I was very hard on myself, truly my worst teacher. However, the more I painted, the more I started to realize to trust in every stage of the painting process and in my capability. I feel that we have been conditioned to only look at perfection. However, mistakes can redirect creativity into places we couldn't plan for, and those directions aren't in the rulebook. I truly have used much of my art practice as a mirror for life. At times I think life seems to have a sense of humour. One day I'm painting my days, carefully planning my strokes, wanting everything to look just right. Then something happens. A job falls through, a relationship ends, health issues show up. And yes, it feels like a blotch on the canvas, something we can't fix. But I have learned, albeit not smooth sailing, that time and perspective has shown me that those moments force us into new depth, new colour, and a new way of being. Here's what I noticed. Mistakes don't hurt as much as the words we attach to them. On the canvas, I could have said, "You ruined it. You're hopeless. Why bother?" Instead, I began asking, what if this isn't a mistake? What if this is an invitation? That single reframe changes everything. Every masterpiece holds a history of mistakes. The viewer never sees the panic, the smudges, the wrong colours, the changes of direction, but the painting wouldn't exist without them. And isn't that true for us? Our so-called flaws are part of our depth. Our challenges give us texture. Our struggles create resilience. So next time you feel you've made a mistake, on the canvas or in life, pause, breathe, ask, what if this is the turning point? Because the truth is, your masterpiece may be waiting on the other side of that imperfect, perfect mistake. If you've got a story of a mistake turning into something beautiful, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Remember, mistakes are just brushstrokes on the way to your masterpiece. Now, let's continue with the portrait tutorial. For this art tutorial, I'll be working with cadmium scarlet, lamp black, lemon yellow, and titanium white. Just to note, cadmium scarlet is highly pigmented, so a little really does go a long way. Almost like life, sometimes the smallest action carries the most impact. I'm beginning with a very simple rudimentary sketch. Since I'll be painting with a palette knife, precision isn't my focus. The sketch is more of a guidepost than anything else. Still, even at this stage, I noticed that urge creeping in to fix a line, to correct the composition. It's the same why we often try to control every detail in life instead of letting things unfold. From the very start of this portrait, I remind myself to treat the painting like a sculpting process, to build it slowly, proportions, likeness, form, piece by piece. The palette knife isn't known for accuracy, but that's where its beauty lies. It surprises you, it gives you what you didn't expect, and in those so-called mistakes, you often find the most life, the most character. At this stage, my mind starts fighting the process. The inner critics show up very fast. You ruined it. Fix this. The tone is all wrong. These little mind assassins have only one job: to focus on what's broken, never on what's working. When that voice gets too loud, I literally have to talk back. I'll say to myself, just a little more, get to the next stage before you give up. Now, that small act of persistence is often what shifts everything. And here's the beautiful part. The moment I begin mixing paint again, blending colours together, I find myself falling back into alignment. It's as if the rhythm of mixing pulls me out of the noise and back into the flow. Here's a close-up view of the knife in motion. The focus here is sharp, almost intense, as each mark lands with purpose. What I love about working with the palette knife is that up close the shapes don't always make sense. They feel abstract, fragmented, almost chaotic. But then the moment you step back, the eye begins to weave them together. The brain catches the rhythm, forming the image, while the raw energy of those marks remain alive within the edges. That balance between chaos and clarity is where the painting starts to breathe. This is the stage of the portrait where I begin to feel the flow. The mistakes no longer dominate the process. Instead, each knife mark reveals itself like a note in a piece of music, carrying its own tone and weight. I'm still holding the drawing as my anchor, always my number one focus, but now there's a softening, a loosening. The rigidity of each stroke starts to dissolve, and what's left is the energy within the mark itself, alive, unapologetic, and part of the unfolding rhythm. Mistakes in this process have been many, but here's the truth. Only you truly see them, and only you hold the power to correct them. Some people won't notice, others might, and a few will even criticize. What matters is not their opinion, but how you choose to respond. Each correction can be an act of kindness toward yourself, a reminder that this is your process. And in that choice, in that gentle authority, lies your center of power.